Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to our... trying to be all professional there, wasn't I? Not happening. Yeah, welcome to our next live stream on AQA GCSE Geography. Ready for question 1 in 2026. So who has joined us this evening for some live revision? Hit us up in the chat. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. If you're from different schools in different parts of the country, yeah, let us know. The beauty of the live stream is you can get involved in answering questions, chatting along with other geographers, and yeah, doing your revision, getting yourselves ready for the 13th of May, the first official paper 1 GCSE physical geography paper. So if you're in the chat, let us know. Say hello. We'll put your names on screen in a second. And hopefully you're here to do some serious revision, some serious work tonight. I'm feeling up for it. I'm ready to do my revision, ready for the exam. Oh, it's been a busy day though. I haven't even managed to get changed here at the moment. Still in my work stuff, but anyway, it will do. It will do. Right, let's have a look. Who is here today? Moderator, awesome to see you. Thank you very much for helping us out today as well in school. See you next Monday. Finn the gamer is in. Hello everyone. Yeah, hi Finn. I'm seeing if some of the regulars are in. Yes, Finn. Callum's in. Nice one, Callum. Thanks for joining us tonight on YouTube. Let me put some people's names down. So what we do is we have a little competition. So I'll ask you questions throughout the live stream. If you get them right, we give you a point, and then we'll just see who the best geographer is. So we've got Callum in. We've got Finn in. Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in on tonight's live stream. Good on you. Who else is in? Go on, Finn. Finn's got a lot of friends. Frederick's in. Good to see you, Fred. You were in last week as well. Callum was in last week. Fred was in last week. You get bonus points for being in like multiple weeks, which is even better. Callum, yeah, hi, Callum. Good to see you. Right, hope I'm not. Oh, it's Joan. Hi, Joan. Lovely to see you, Joan. Thanks for joining us in tonight's live stream. Who else we got? We got Fred. We've seen Fred, and we've got the moderator. Yeah, if you want to message and chat, you have to have a public YouTube account. So make sure you got public access, then you can chat. How it works is we do around about 45 minutes to an hour of revision, making revision notes. Make sure you have the following bits of equipment. So let's just go to our, let's just share our screen here. So what you're going to need tonight, guys, is something to make some notes on, some revision notes. So you can use flashcards, plain paper, line paper, just something to make your revision notes on. Obviously, because it's geography, we have all our colours and stuff. A pen, I always have a spare one just in case it runs out. Highlighter, ruler, all that good stuff. Obviously, a cup of tea. Make sure you've got yourself a nice drink to get you through your revision. And a biscuit. Yeah, we have a biscuit every time. Here's today's biscuit. How does a penguin make pancakes? Oh, it's a bit out of date, this one. This was last week, wasn't it? Pancakes. Yeah, so hit us up in the chat, guys. How does a penguin make pancakes? Yeah, it does get better. The live stream does improve, but we've got to start with a bit of a joke just to give us a bit of a lift before we start our geography revision. So who can tell me how does a penguin make pancakes? Let us know. All right, we are about to get started. So let me just flip the screens again. Hopefully you've got your revision stuff there. So Finley's put an answer with his flipper. Let's have a look. Oh my God, let's see it. Let's check the cameras. Here we go, guys. Are you ready? The answer is with his flippers. Finley, absolute legend. Well done. You've got a point on the board for the first answer that is correct. Finley is correct. There we go. It does get better than that. Okay. So hope you've got your notes ready, your blank paper ready, your line paper, whatever you're going to make your notes on. Today, guys, we're going to focus on case studies. So we're going to look at 3 case studies. We're going to look at Haiti earthquake in a low-income country. We're going to look at Japan earthquake in a high-income country. And then the one that I think you're going to need this year in 2026, Typhoon Haiyan. Okay. I'm going to fit all these case studies on one single page. So it's all going to fit on one page. But you can use multiple pages, multiple flashcards, whatever you might need. So in terms of case studies, what do you need to know? Where it is, when it happened, the magnitude of the event, the causes of that event, the impacts, the damage, as it were, and then the management. Now, the management is so important. Make sure you know how the hazard was managed in the short term and the long term. And we're going to do a little evaluation of how effectively the hazard was managed as well. So one of these case studies will be in the exam. I don't know which one, but one of them will. If I was to edge my bets, I would say tropical storm this year, but it's best to know all of them. So make sure you've got all of your case studies ready. So I think we're ready to go, guys. Let's get cracking with tonight's live stream. Let's take you zooming in. And are you ready with your notes? So here we go. Are you ready for some questions as well? So the first question is, when is paper 1 physical geography? What is the date of paper 1 physical geography? Let me write it at the top here. Paper 1 physical geography. So you can get you zoomed in down here. Put the banner on. This is right in the middle of my page, guys. Paper 1 physical geography. Okay, we are looking at natural hazard case studies today. Natural hazard case studies. Okay, and the date is, who's the first correct? Finley. Oh my God, there's no catching Finley. He is correct. He's 13th of May in the morning. It's a Wednesday. Well done to Joan and yeah, you're absolutely right, Callum. It is in the morning. So we're getting ready for that exam. It is the 13th of May, 2026. I can't wait for it this season. I do love exam season. I like all the seriousness and the importance of revision, studying. It just gives us purpose, doesn't it? And also an opportunity to show the examiner how well we know our geography. So I am going to break this page up into 3 sections, roughly. So I'll zoom you out a little bit. I'm going to break up into 3 sections. See if I can lift you up a bit further than that. There we go. Break up into 3 sections. We're going to have Haiti in 1/3, Japan in the other 1/3, and Typhoon Haiyan in the final 1/3. So I'm just going to use my ruler. But if you're not using plain paper, you can just break it up in terms of your book or your revision cards. You might have a couple of revision cards for each case study. Okay. So let's just break up the page roughly into 1/3. And we'll try and fit as much revision as we possibly can. So in this top 1/3 here, we're going to do the Haiti earthquake. So I'm just going to zoom into the top 1/3 down here. Okay. A big case study for us. It's our Haiti earthquake. And this is our case study for an LIC. Hit us up in the chat, guys. What does LIC stand for? What does LIC stand for? First one to get in there will get a point. If you're joining us, welcome to the live stream tonight. Okay, Callum's in. Well done, Callum. Callum is quick there. A low-income country. Good man. Fred's there, and so is Joan, but you were a little bit slower off the mark. Maybe Callum's got faster internet. I don't know. Possibly. Okay, so we're going to go for the facts first of all. Can you give me any facts about Haiti, where it is, how, what was the magnitude of the earthquake, which city did it hit? Any facts about the Haiti earthquake? Time, the date. Who can remember any of those key facts? So just sorting out my paper there. Key facts is what we're going to start with here. Just trying to get it in focus for you guys. Right. Right. Any key facts, or should we just get cracking? So the Haiti earthquake was the 12th of January 2010 at 4:53 p.m. So kind of rush hour. Fred, yes, it's in the Caribbean. Good. Let's do that next. The Caribbean. It's a Caribbean island. It shares the island with the Dominican Republic. Haiti is on the west coast. Dominican Republic is on the east. So, yeah, it's a Caribbean island. What else have we got here? It happened in 2010, correct, Joan? So, Joan's got one. Fred's got one. So, Fred's off the mark. Well done, Fred. Okay. So, it's a Caribbean island. The city that it hit was Port-au-Prince. It's a French named city because it used to be a French colony. It was colonized by France. It has a very high population in the city of Port-au-Prince. It was densely populated. That's one of the reasons why this earthquake was devastating. In fact, let's put how devastating it was. So here we go. It was 7 on the Richter scale, which is not the highest. It's pretty high. The Richter scale goes from 10 to 0, basically 10 to 0. This was 7, so it's pretty high, but we've seen much higher events. It's quite a strong earthquake, and it was, let's give it a silver medal. This is a medal it wouldn't want to have. It got a silver medal. It's the second deadliest earthquake in history. So there we go. It killed the second most amount of people in history. Second deadliest earthquake. Yeah. In history. I'm just going to put second deadliest earthquake. Okay. Last little fact. In this area, 80% of people live in poverty. So it's a very poor country. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, the western side of the world. And 80% of people here live in poverty. They are vulnerable people. So it's a very vulnerable population. That's a great word, actually, vulnerable. Has a very vulnerable population. Many of them live in slums or in squatter settlements. And this is why the earthquake was so devastating. We've got some more celebrities in the house. Well done, Wilbur. Thanks for joining us for some revision tonight. Wilbur is here, everybody. So say hello to Wilbur. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us, Wilbur. Get your revision cards out and get jotting some of this stuff down ready for your revision. Okay, there we go. That's it so far. So it's the Haiti earthquake 2010. Now, question time. Which tectonic plates were involved in the Haiti earthquake 2010? Which tectonic plates were involved in the Haiti earthquake 2010? Thanks for the love hearts, Fred. That's very kind of you. So we're going to move on to causes. The causes of the Haiti earthquake. What were the names of the tectonic plates involved in the Haiti earthquake? Ooh, so you're saying it's a destructive boundary. That is incorrect, I'm afraid, Callum. But you've had a go, so thanks for having a go. But it's not a destructive boundary, guys. So you've got 2 more options. Constructive or conservative? Constructive or conservative? What do we think? Jones had a go. Constructive is also incorrect. The correct answer is it's a conservative. A conservative plate boundary. Okay. So let's put that into our revision notes. It was a conservative plate boundary. I'm going to highlight that. That is really important. Okay. So what is a conservative plate boundary? I'm sure many of you know. It's where 2 plates slide past each other. Okay. 2 tectonic plates. Let's just add a bit more detail in there. Slide past each other like so. And in the case of this one, it was, did we get the names of the tectonic plates? Which 2 plates were sliding past each other for the Haiti earthquake? Whilst you're doing that, I just add a bit of colour Any ideas? Okay, let's add them on then. For higher grades, you should know which plates are involved. This one here is the North American plate. I'm going to put in block capitals. The North American plate, it carries North America. And this one here is the Caribbean plate, which carries the Caribbean islands. So the Caribbean plate. Okay. So it's a Caribbean plate and the North American plate. They locked together at this conservative plate margin. Pressure and friction builds up. And then all of a sudden, we get a slip of the plates, a jolting of the plates. And that will then create seismic waves that pass outwards from the plate, affecting the capital city, Port-au-Prince. Okay. So they led to a lot of destruction. Key points here is it was a shallow focus. It's a very shallow earthquake. So the earthquake is a shallow focus earthquake. It was only 13 kilometers deep into the crust. So it's very shallow. Earthquakes that are shallow cause more damage. You get more shaking, more seismic movements. So that's one of the reasons why this earthquake was so destructive. It was a very shallow focused earthquake, only 13 kilometers deep. Right, let's move on to the impacts then. So for each case study, you need to know facts, causes, impacts, and then our management. So we'll get a shift on here. Okay, impacts. So we have two types of impacts. We have primary impacts and secondary impacts. Okay, primary impacts and secondary impacts. We're going to create a little key for our impacts. Blue means it is a social impact affecting people. Red means it's an economic impact. That's affecting business, jobs, trade, the economy. And green is an environmental one. So this is affecting the natural environment. Okay, because we might spot a pattern here with our impacts. They might all be economic impacts or social impacts. So they're the things that we can say in our examinations. So here's a chance for another point on the board. What is the difference between primary and secondary impacts? What is the difference between primary and secondary impacts? Let us know in the chat, guys. For a positive point, primary is okay. So primary is short term, secondary is long term. Yeah, you're pretty right. You're pretty right. Primary, what's it? Primary is the effect of the earthquake. Secondary is the consequences. I like that, actually. That's working well for me. Well done, Joan. Well done, Callum. You've got a point on the board as well. So primary impacts are those that happen directly because of the hazard. So directly because of the earthquake. That's a primary impact. A secondary impact is something that happens because of the earthquake, often later on. Okay. So we're going to have a little look at the primary and secondary impacts. Okay, here we go. You ready? We're going to hammer out some of these. So I'm going to draw a gravestone. There we go. RIP. Deaths. 316,000 people perished and died in this earthquake. The second deadliest of all time. A little person sat outside without anything to live in. That's because in this earthquake, 1.5 million people were made homeless. Absolutely devastating. Okay, another little primary impact. Trying to draw a little building that's collapsed. Okay. It's all about speed revision here. Trying to do speed. Okay, this is because 80% of buildings collapsed in the capital, Port-au-Prince. So 80% of all buildings collapsed in the capital, mainly because of pancaking, which is where they the top floor falls on the second floor, falls on the bottom floor. So all the layers of the building flatten each other down like a pancake. So there's a lot of pancaking. I'm going to put that in. You can put that as your little notes as well. Pancake. Last but not least, this is really important, but 60% of government buildings, so government offices, the government palace in the capital, government buildings collapsed. This is really significant because the government were unable to respond because many of them were killed, or their officers and their administration centers were also damaged. So that's a really significant impact. Okay, so we've got primary ones. Right, let's have a look. First one is social, people. So this one's a social impact. Homelessness, social. Buildings collapsed, mainly social. Government buildings collapsing, that's a bit of a tricky one. That's mainly social because they look at social structures again. So as you can see, the primary impacts tend to be social based in this disaster. Heavily social based primary impacts, which is not good, obviously. Right, let's go to our secondary. Secondary impacts included, this was a really serious one. Many of the water supplies became contaminated with sewage and just got broken sewage pipes. This was an outbreak of cholera. So people were becoming very ill from the contaminated water. 8,000 people died of cholera, which took weeks and months later after drinking the contaminated water from the broken sewage systems and the water pipes being broken. They had contracted cholera much later down the line, but it killed 8,000 people. Okay, here's the next one. 1 in 5 people lost their jobs. Lost jobs. Okay, so 1 in 5 people lost their jobs because the businesses had collapsed and they were made unemployed. It's not Fred, it's Joan. Yeah, I've got Joan. Don't you worry, Joan. I've got you. It's because your name is confusing. Right. It's another secondary impact. When there was a lot of destruction of the shops and buildings, people went looting. They went stealing. So there was a lot of crime, a lot of disorder and theft, crime and disorder. People were stealing things. People were, there was horrible things as well, like assaults. People were getting attacked. Women were getting attacked. Not great. Another secondary impact, the dead were left in the streets. And obviously, if you've got human bodies that are piling up on the edge of the streets, that's going to lead to things like disease, illness, and even the survivors will end up perhaps being killed by some sort of secondary disease. The last one is that communications such as the electricity and the internet, which you guys would be very upset about, were also cut off. And that was for a number of months. No power, no communication like internet and phones. So how do you organize a rescue without any power and any communications? It makes it really, really difficult. So let's have a quick look at these ones. Cholera is a social impact. Jobs was economic. That's our red one. I'm just going to shade that in. Crime and disorder is a social. Death is a social. And lack of power, that's social and economic. Okay. So it's a bit of both, really, because it will affect the businesses, but it will affect people's homes. So if we have a quick summary, most of the impacts of the Haiti earthquake were social impacts. They impacted people's lives directly. And this is why it was a humanitarian disaster. Okay. We don't ever want to see this sort of earthquake affecting people in this way ever again. We need to learn from this. Right. Let's have a quick look then at the responses. So we have, scrolling down, our responses here. So we have short-term responses. Short-term responses. And we also have long-term responses. Okay, so what have we got? What's the difference between a short-term response and a long-term response. You could give me an example if you want. Hit us up in the chat. Finn, you're on 3. Callum, you're on 1. Jones on 3. If you're in there, share an answer. What's the difference between short-term and long-term responses? Okay. Right, let's have a little look then. We're just waiting for a few answers, but here we go. Our first short-term response was from the United States, and they gave the US gave $100 million in aid. So for food, medicine, things like that. Joan is on here. Let's have a quick look. Short-term is a couple of hours or weeks. Yeah, long-term. Well done, you. Superb, Joan. Love that. Okay, so the US gave $100 million to the Haiti government and to offer aid and support for the country. So that is our US flag there with our US aid. Okay, the next one is tented villages. So most people were having to live in tents. So we had our tented villages. Around about 800,000 people lived in tented villages. For a number of months, if not nearly a year actually, they were living in these little tented areas because the homelessness was really high. They were given tents to live in. Last but not least, excuse me, guys. The United Nations sent troops, which are soldiers, basically peacekeepers, to prevent law and order, to prevent the crime and the disorder. So United Nations sent troops to bring, excuse me, peace to the area following the earthquake. Right, long term, they were given debt relief. So they were in debt. Haiti was in debt, but they were told by the World Bank not to pay back their debts. Don't worry about your debts. We will wipe all your debts clean. Focus on paying for the recovery of the earthquake, pay for the repairs of the earthquake. So there was debt relief brought in. I love this one. A lot of hazards have the same project here, especially in low-income countries, which is cash for work. So because 1 in 5 people were out of a job, it's really clever. The government pay people to clear the streets of rubble, to help with the rescue. So they get paid to help with the recovery of the earthquake. So that is your new job, helping to hand out aid wherever they can. They get paid to help it out. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Another one that they did was they reinstated, or they fixed, the water supply for 1.7 million people. They gave them water and sanitation back. So they repaired the sewage systems, they repaired the water supplies for 1.7 million people. Okay. So that is what they did. Right, let's do our evaluation. Why was the Haiti earthquake so deadly? Okay. Why were the impacts so much higher on the Haiti earthquake? So hit us up in the chat, guys. Why do you think the impacts of this earthquake were much higher than most other earthquakes in history? Let's have a quick think. Let us know, why was this earthquake far more devastating than many other earthquakes in the past? Okay, let's have a little look then. Callum, yes, weak and poor infrastructure. Roads easily collapsed, bridges easily collapsed, pipes, that's all infrastructure, collapsed. The internet cut off. So yeah, weak and poorly built infrastructure. Lack of preparation. Well done, Callum. Catching up now. lack of preparation, not been organised. Okay, so here we go, guys. This is what you're going to say in an exam to why the impacts were so devastating. Let's go for a quick round. We're going to try and fit as many as we can. Number one, it was an area of extreme poverty. This earthquake hit one of the poorest countries in the entire planet, which obviously means that it's not very prepared, which can be our next one. Next one is poor preparation by the government. No governance. Lack of governance, lack of leadership, lack of preparation. Massive problem. Okay, next one is no building regulations. So there's no laws about how to build things to make sure that they are more resistant to earthquake tremors, which is poor. Yeah, so they can build anything, and that's why many of them collapse. Next one, it was a shallow focus earthquake. It was close to the surface, shallow focus. It was also hits a city of Port-au-Prince. So because it was close to the city and it was shallow focus, that's why so many people died. Okay. Last but not least, the secondary impacts were high. So cholera is not something that happens often after earthquakes, but secondary impacts made this earthquake even worse. In particular, the outbreak of cholera led to more deaths than normal and higher impacts. So if you ever get a question on earthquake in an LIC, look at that, guys. Hey, look at that. Everything you need to know. Facts, figures, causes, impacts, and responses. Okay, so there we go. That's where we finished off with that one. Right, let's move on to our next one. Let's go on to looking at, let's get on to looking at Japan. So you need to know a hazard in a low-income country. You also need to know a hazard in a high-income country. Now, we looked at Italy in lesson, but we are going to look at Japan. Okay, earthquake. This is a very famous earthquake of 2011. Japan earthquake, and it is a HIC. Okay. So let's get your new revision card. Let's get your new notes out, new line paper out. Get this little case study on there as well. Okay, Japan earthquake 2011. Let's go for the facts. There'll be a few less questions on this one because this is a kind of a new one for us. The earthquake was the 11th of March, 2011, so the year after the Haiti one. Okay. This one was in Japan, as it's called the Japan earthquake. So let's put our little map pin on. Here we go. It was 70 kilometers east of Japan. So just off the coast. Again, it was a shallow focus earthquake. Shallow focus earthquake. It was about 30 kilometers deep in the Earth's surface. So not very deep at all. Japan is, I think it's the fourth now, fourth richest country. It changes. It was third. It might be third. It might be fourth. Anyway, it's in the top five. It's the top 5 richest countries. If the moderator's in, let me know where it ranks at the moment based on its GDP, gross domestic product. 4th richest country in the world. Okay. In terms of the magnitude of this one was absolutely huge. It was 9 on the Richter scale. 9 on the Richter scale. Some people had it down as 9.2, which is one of the highest ever recorded. 9.2. Okay. Just to let you know, I've just done a bit of research. The GDP is 6 trillion at the time of the earthquake. So it had $6 trillion in wealth at the time of this earthquake. So at that time, it was either 3rd or 4th richest country. If you're interested in radiation contamination and Fukushima, oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah. There we go. If you're interested more about what happened here, check out that video link on Japan earthquake. Yep, so it's 9 on the Richter scale. Last little thing. Japan is very famous because Japan is the global leader in earthquake management. They are the best country in the world for technology and earthquake resistant management. Yeah, they are number one. So if this is a country that can manage an earthquake, well, we'll see in the facts, shall we? Global leader in earthquake management. Japan has always been famous for its technology, and it is very famous for its earthquake management, a global leader. Right, so let's go to the causes. What caused this devastating earthquake? 9 on the Richter scale. Okay, I'm just going to shuffle down, guys. There we go. Hopefully it's still in focus. Let's just press that. Okay, this was a destructive plate boundary. It is a destructive plate boundary, which is important. There we go. Anything important, guys, we get the highlighter. We just give it a little highlight there. So it's a destructive plate boundary. On one side, we have the North American plate. So again, for my geeky geographers out there, grade 4 and above, North American plate. Yeah. And then on the other side, we had our Pacific plate. Okay, our Pacific plate. And obviously these collide because it's a destructive boundary. Pacific plate. Okay. All this is happening in the Pacific Ring of Fire. So this is where this boundary is, in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Let's just put the island of Japan on. Yeah. There we go. There's Japan. And what happened is, at this destructive boundary, we get one of the plates, which is the Pacific plate, subducting below, and then it creates an earthquake. Let's put the energy is released as an earthquake as that plate flicks upwards, and that will then create a tsunami, which is what was the big problem in this earthquake. The main problem was the tsunami. That was the biggest risk. Tsunami is actually a Japanese word for giant wave. So tsunami means giant wave. And that wave was traveling towards the Japanese coast. All right. All in the Ring of Fire. That's whereabouts it was. It was the tsunami. This is the biggest killer. The tsunami was the biggest killer in this earthquake event. Okay, right, moving down. Let's have a quick look then at the impacts. Here we go. So again, we've got our primary impacts and we've got our secondary impacts. We're doing well, guys, here. We're doing well. So let's have a quick look at some of these. Primary impacts. First one. Because most of the buildings in Japan are earthquake resistant, very few buildings collapsed. It was very successful. Very few buildings collapsed. Yes. Good evening. Good. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, jump on the revision. Get your revision notes out. Jump on, make a few notes. We have got a quiz at the end as well, so you can join in the quiz. But yeah, really good to see you. So very few buildings collapsed in this earthquake. There was a major oil refinery, which is basically like an oil rig in the sea, that did set on fire because of an oil leak. So this is an oil platform that did cause huge amounts of environmental damage. So oil refinery fire. So that is an economic and an environmental. The oil spill, the fumes from the oil disaster, also there. There were a lot of deaths, even though this was a HIC. There were 18,000 deaths recorded for this earthquake, but most of them were due to the tsunami, not the actual earthquake. So the actual earthquake killed very few people because of Japan being prepared and organized, but the tsunami was the biggest killer. 18,000 people were washed to their death in this particular event. Yeah, was there deaths? Yes, there was. There was 18,000. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at secondary impacts. Here we go. So my moderator has already given you the main secondary impact. So on the west coast, sorry, on the east coast of Japan, there is a power station called Fukushima Power Plant. It was hit by the tsunami, and one of the reactors was damaged in the tsunami. Radiation leaked, and that was devastating. So the Fukushima, let me just make sure I spell this right, Fukushima Power Plant was damaged. That led to radiation leak. That's my little radiation sign there. 3 black triangles and a yellow sign. So the power station was damaged. They also had to, there was lots of fishing ports damaged. What should I do there for that? Draw a little sketch of maybe a broken boat or something. There we go. Fishing ports were damaged, which meant that many people lost their jobs in the fishing industry. That would affect the food supply and things like that. And it was 450,000 homes and businesses were damaged on the coast. So the coastal areas of Japan were the most damaged because of the tsunami was what was damaging a lot of the infrastructure. So let's have a quick look at the impacts. We've got a social impact with the deaths. We've got homes and businesses. Economic. Homes is social. Fishing ports, economic impacts. Power supplies, again, mainly economic. Powering industry. So as you can see here, now this is a different picture, guys. Look, very interestingly, we've got social impacts, but unlike Haiti, most of the impacts are economic. So in Japan, a lot of the impacts were to do with money, jobs, trade, business. So yeah, slightly different slant. Large economic impacts in Japan, in the Japan earthquake. Right, let's go on to short-term responses. Let me just get a little line going across here. Let's try and squeeze as much in as we can for our case study. Let's lift you up a slight bit there. Okay, here we go. Short-term responses. And then we're going to go long-term responses on here. So whenever you're talking about hazards in your exams, you can talk about any of these hazards. Just double check the question. If it says low income country, make sure you talk about Haiti. If it says high income country, you can talk about Japan. So what did they do in Japan? Here's our first one. Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Yeah, they sent out warnings on social media, which worked really well. Warnings about the tsunami, warnings about the earthquake, warnings on social media, which was very, very powerful. Many people got the warnings. Many people moved away from the coastline. Next one is 20 international countries helped out with the recovery. Countries, 20 countries helped with things like search and rescue, and aid. So sending food, water, medicines, things like that. So that was really good, a great international effort. They also set up community shelters for people to go and live in. So they had community shelters where there would have been beds. As you can see, much more organized, much more prepared for that particular issue. And the last thing they did in terms of the nuclear power plant, they used seawater to cool down the reactor that had been damaged in the nuclear disaster. So seawater was used to cool the reactor to prevent the spread of radiation. Seawater to cool the damaged nuclear reactor, because you don't want radiation getting out. That will cause huge amounts of problems to people's lives and to anything that's living in that area. Okay, long-term responses. The Japanese government spent 250 billion on recovery, rebuilding, getting things back to normal. 250 billion dollars was spent on recovery. Yes, they've learnt their lesson. They did actually have a tsunami wall, but in the earthquake, it slipped. It dropped in height, and then the tsunami went over the top. But good news, they've built a new one. They've got a brand new tsunami wall across the coastline to protect it from future earthquakes and tsunamis. New tsunami wall. It's basically like a seawall, but they're about 10 meters in height. So they're much higher than a traditional seawall in the UK. Also, they created no-build zones near the coast, on the coast. So because they know the coast is very vulnerable in the future, they don't want to build houses or power plants or anything else close to the coast. So, yeah, they've done that. And last but not least, they're moving away from nuclear power because, as I say, last time, the nuclear power station leaked radiation. So they're moving to renewable energy, wind and solar, because they're a bit safer if they get damaged. So they're now shifting more towards renewables, green energy, which is also good at wind and solar, okay, which is fantastic. Right, let's have a quick look at the bottom then for my grades 7 and above. Why did Japan get it so right? So why did it actually have such a good strategy at managing hazards? Hit us up in the chat, guys. Hit us up. Why did Japan deal and manage with this hazard so effectively? What did they do well? What did they have in place? At the moment on the scores, we've got Finn on 3, Callum on 3, Joan on 4. Let's have a little look. Callum, yes, they were well prepared. Yes, they had medical on standby. They had building preparation. Yes, they had the money to recover. Callum is smashing it. That's 5 you're on, Callum, now. Well done. Right, let's have a quick look then. Why is Japan so successful? Let's give it some ticks here. It has earthquake-resistant buildings. So it has buildings that can resist earthquakes, earthquake-resistant buildings. That really does help in managing the hazard. They also have, yes, it's a HIC, absolutely. So it has money to it for the recovery. They also have earthquake drills. They practice for earthquakes. They actually have an earthquake day where all of the emergency services practice, where all of the people at schools practice, drop, cover and hold, all those sort of things. So we're just going to put here, advanced healthcare. Yeah, so when you go to hospital in Japan, you're going to get the best possible care. Advanced healthcare. Yeah, the emergency services are very qualified. They've got lots of resources in terms of medicine. Less people die because of how good the hospitals are. They also have good warning systems. Most people heard the warnings and they responded to the warnings. Okay, so these are all 4 reasons why Japan coped really well. The buildings are earthquake resistant, earthquake drills, warning systems, advanced healthcare, which means, I'm going to put this in capitals, Japan has the capacity to cope with disasters. Okay, Japan has the capacity to cope with disasters. That's one of the best things you can say if you're going for grade 7. That is a great phrase. This country is well organized, well governed, well planned, and that is why the impacts were lower in Japan than in Haiti. Okay. Right. What's it say here? By the way, I only have one. Who only has one? Oh, Fred has 4. Okay, all right. So Fred has 4. Joan has 1. Okay, thanks, guys. Fred has 4. This is getting confusing, isn't it? Fred has 4. Joan has 1. Okay, nice one. Fred has 4, not me. Okay, right, nice one. Right, let's go on to our last case study then. Look at that, guys. Absolutely loving that, look. 2 major case studies. Let's try and hammer out this next one in the next 10, 15 minutes on Haiyan. Typhoon Storm Haiyan. Here we go. Are you ready? New revision card at the ready. Okay. This is the one I think you're most likely to need this year. Oh, no. I spelled... Oh, dear. Wait a minute. I've messed mine up. Typhoon. There we go. I'm getting too excited there. Hopefully you haven't messed yours up. Typhoon Haiyan. It's an LIC case study. It was all going so well there as well. There we go. Typhoon Haiyan. It's a low-income country case study. So here we go. Let's go for the time. It was the 8th of November. That's when it started. 8th of November, 2013. It was a megastorm. In terms of its magnitude, it was a megastorm. It was a Category 5. The highest category of any storm possible is Category 5. It means the winds have to be over 150 miles an hour. That is crazy. Category 5 storm. The winds of Typhoon Haiyan were, that's the wind blowing there, 193 miles an hour. Yeah. 193 mile an hour winds. Crazy. The country was the Philippines. So it happened in the Philippines, which are a collection of islands just southeast of kind of China area. Yeah, the Philippines. And the main place that was affected was called Tacloban. Yeah, so Tacloban was the main area that was impacted by the storms. In this country, 27% of people live in poverty or below the poverty line. It is a relatively poor country, even though life is getting better there slowly. It is still a very poor country. Okay, let's have a look at the causes of this storm. Causes of this storm. Here we go. So let's draw a little sketch here. Let's just move to, there you go, causes. Draw a little sketch. So here's the sea. We had to have sea temperatures of around about 27 degrees. The sea on that day was 30 degrees in temperature. It's very warm sea. Okay. We had warm rising air. So we had evaporation off the sea. So water rises, evaporates. So we had let's just draw the outline of the storm. There we go. That's what a storm looks like, basically. There we go. It was a low pressure weather system. So warm rising air lifting off the sea. It was a low pressure weather system. Okay. The last thing that was happening in the area, obviously, was the rotation of the Earth, which is known as the Coriolis. Let me just make sure I spell that right. Coriolis effect, which causes the winds to spiral round. So the warm air rises, the moisture rises. Coriolis effect means that the winds start to rotate because the Earth is rotating. The Earth rotates, which causes the winds to rotate, which then creates our storm. So they had these three ingredients: low pressure weather system, warm oceans at 30 degrees, Coriolis effect. That is what created this mega storm. One of the biggest storms ever recorded in history. All right, let's go to our impacts. Look at this. We've nearly done 3 case studies in 45 minutes. We're flying. Okay, here we go. Primary impacts. Let me just move you down a little bit here, guys. Here we go. Primary impacts and secondary impacts, again, of this storm. Right, let's have a little look then. Here we go, the deaths. There's our gravestone. In this one, there were 6,300 deaths. 6,300 deaths. Okay, the big killer, the main thing that killed people in this particular storm was the storm surge. So basically, the strong wind, the 193-mile-an-hour wind, blew across the Pacific Ocean, pushing the water onto the land, which was 5 meters in height. That is higher, as tall as a house. 5-meter storm surge. That is what killed, again, a lot of people. They were washed away in the 5-meter storm surge. Okay. 90% of Tacloban, which was the city, Tacloban was destroyed. Homes and businesses, people's livelihoods. Yeah, absolutely terrible. In terms of homeless, it was much worse than the earthquakes. There was 4.1 million people homeless in this particular disaster. And it was really bad for agriculture. So many people in these countries rely on farming. Most of the crops were blown, damaged by the winds or by the flooding. 1 million crops damaged by the storm surge and the strong winds. So massive problems. Most of them were rice and sugarcane. Rice and sugarcane crops were damaged. Okay, there's my crops that look like they're a little bit sad. Right, okay, over to the secondary impacts over here. 6 million people lost their jobs. 6 million. Crazy. Of that 6 million, 30,000 of them were in the fishing industry. So most of the damage was done, again, to the fishing boats because of the winds. The fishing boats got damaged. Massive, massive problem. Let's just make sure impact's there. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. Secondary impacts also was cholera. So cholera outbreaks, sewage pipes were damaged. Again, water pipes were damaged. That led to things like cholera, which is a deadly illness caused by contaminated water, and dysentery. Again, massive problem, causing diarrhea, and that also can be deadly. Another secondary impact was from the storm, landslides. So this is where the water saturates the soil, so it makes the kind of hillsides saturated in water and then causes them to slip away and creates a landslide. So these are, again, deadly when a section of land slides into a town or a village. So we had landslides. Many of these blocked roads and things. Landslides, good. And then last but not least, in terms of impacts, we had, again, an oil spill in this area. We had some oil spillage. Yeah. A tanker oil spill. So a tanker was carrying oil, it was damaged, which then spilled 800,000 litres of water, 800,000 litres of oil into the sea around the Philippines. That would have a huge impact on fish and the marine ecosystem. Okay, let's go on to our responses. Short-term responses and then long-term. Let's just shuffle you down, guys. When short-term responses, long-term responses. Okay, right. What do we do? There was 800,000 people were evacuated from coastal areas. So people had to leave with their suitcase and move to other areas that were safer. So these are our short-term and long-term impacts. Okay. The RAF, the Royal Air Force in the UK, and US military helped with air rescues, helicopters to rescue people from flood areas, which was a very, very good thing. 1,200 evacuation centres were set up, which provided people with basic shelter, healthcare, and things that they needed, because, as we said, 4 million of them were homeless. So they set up 1,200 evacuation centres. And last but not least, in the short term, they had curfews where you had to be in at a certain time. So people had to go in and be off the streets because, again, people were looting, people were stealing other people's possessions. So there were some curfews put in place. Right, long-term responses. Well, they have learnt their lesson, and now they're going to build better back. They're going to build houses that are more brick and block, a bit more resistant to storms. They're going to make sure they build better back, which is a good thing. They've also created no-build zones near the coast. So you can't build your house or industries too close to the coastline, making sure that they're far enough away from any potential storm surge. They also had cash for work, which is the same. Cash for work. Again, paying people to clear the streets, help with the recovery, help with the rebuild. Great little scheme. I really like that idea. Paying people to get involved in the cleanup. Last but not least, in terms of the responses, Oxfam helped to pay for new fishing boats. So the charity Oxfam, which you've probably seen in the UK, helped to fund new fishing boats to get the fishing industry back on its feet. Many of the boats were damaged in the storm, so Oxfam paid for new fishing boats. The last one I'm going to say was, and I love this one, what they've done is, near the coast, they have planted mangroves, which are trees, to protect the homes. So they've planted trees very close to the coastline, and they act as a natural barrier. Okay, so this one's a really good one, because planting trees is a really good thing. Right, I think I need to go get some rest here. Planting mangroves, which is a little forest of trees that can survive in salt water, and you plant them along the coast to protect the coast from a tidal surge. So why were the deaths so much higher in this particular disaster? It was mainly due to the poverty levels. It's a very poor country, so it wasn't very prepared for this disaster. And the other impact was that, again, the airport and government buildings were damaged. So the government wasn't able to respond. Government buildings damaged. Ooh, squeeze it in. Oh. Yeah, so government buildings were damaged. The airport was damaged, so they couldn't get the recovery in. They couldn't get the recovery and the aid into the country to help out with the disaster. Okay. Wow. Whew. Within an hour, we've done 3 major case studies. I hope you've loved that. Look at that. 3 major case studies for paper 1 in 2026 on the 13th of May. You've got Typhoon Haiyan, you've got Japan, HIC earthquake, you've got Haiti, an LIC earthquake. Now you've got to go away and keep an eye on this, have a little look, try and remember the facts and the figures, and try and remember what went on there. And then you're going to absolutely smash it this year. Right, just going to put that to one side now, guys. It's quiz time. Right, it's time to join the quiz. Let's have a quick roundup of the scores. So far is Finley's got 3, Callum's on 5, the winner. Fred's on 4, Jones on 1. But you're all winners for joining the live stream. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you do not miss a next live stream. We're here every Monday all the way up to the exams, getting you ready and excited for this year's geography exams. Please share it with other geographers around the country and also give us a thumbs up. Really helps. Yeah. If you can hit that thumbs up, it does pass the video on to other geographers around the UK and they will also get to see this video. So we love all that good stuff. Right, let me just get you onto our quiz then. Anybody can join in. Let's click on here. Let's go to screen share. Come and join the quiz. Let's see who is the top geographer on the case studies that we've looked at today. Right, here we go. Let me just get myself a bit smaller. There we go. Right, here we go. Host live. And here we go. So jump in, guys. All the questions are linked to the 3 case studies that we've done today on our live stream. Oh, God, I do love that. Look at that. Fantastic bit of revision. Fantastic. What's going on there? Oh, I've just done. No, I haven't unplugged my camera. I don't know what's going on here, guys. Let me just try and replug the camera back in. Are we jumping on the quiz, guys? What's going on here? What's going on? Are we still? Can you still hear me, guys? Just say hello if you can. Yes, we're back on, guys. We're back on. I don't know what happened there. Goodness knows what happened. Anyway, we're back on. Jump on the quiz. I'm not sure if I can hear. I'm not sure if I can hear or see you. Give us a thumbs up in the chat, guys, if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Never mind. I'm like, this is only the second one of the year, so, you know, we're just learning here. I don't know what the heck happened to the camera. Right, we're on. Oh, yes, Eleanor's here. You kept that quiet, Eleanor. Just hiding in the background there. Oh. Right, anybody else want to join in the quiz? Right, I think we're going to start, guys. Here we go. If you still want to join in, you're more than welcome to, but here we go. Let's have a go at this. Haiti, Japan, and the Philippines, Typhoon Haiyan. Who is going to be the live stream winner this week? Let's have a little look. Vote as quickly as you can. Okay, we're going to move on. 3, 2, 1. Yes, an LIC. Well done. Jump on the quiz. This is the coup at the bottom. What was the magnitude of the Haiti earthquake? Magnitude of Haiti earthquake. Get voting. 3, 2, 1. Yes, magnitude 7. Correct. All right, here we go. Number 3. What type of plate margin was the Haiti earthquake? Was it conservative, constructive, collision, or destructive? Vote now. Well done. Hey, yes, full house. 4 out of 4. Well done, guys. Number 4. Why was the Haiti earthquake so destructive despite having a low magnitude? A lower magnitude. Why was it so destructive? Well done. It was a shallow, focused earthquake. There we go. Number 5. What devastating secondary impact killed 8,000 people? Correct. It was cholera. Well done. Cholera. Okay, what is the economic status of Haiti? What is the economic status of Haiti? Yes, it's an LIC country. Well done. Superb. Okay, what was the magnitude of the Japan earthquake 2011? What was the magnitude of the Japan earthquake 2011? Thanks, Stan, in the chat for letting me know it's all working. It was magnitude 9. Well done. What type of plate margin caused the Japan earthquake? Well done. Destructive is the correct answer. Destructive plate boundary. Okay, number 9. What caused the vast majority of the deaths in Japan? Was it nuclear radiation, the tsunami, buildings collapsing, or fires? Correct, it was the tsunami. Well done. Okay, number 10. Which nuclear power plant suffered a nuclear meltdown? There's a picture of it. Yeah, which one was it? Was it Sendai, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island, or Chernobyl? Vote now. 3, 2, 1. Correct answer was Fukushima power plants. Well done. Okay, number 11. Why did so few buildings collapse in Japan? Okay, get your votes in. 3, 2 and 1. Correct answer is aseismic buildings. Earthquake resistant buildings. Okay, here we go. Number 12. What was Typhoon Haiyan known as in the Philippines? Ooh, that's a tricky one. Yeah, what was the local name for this typhoon? Vote now. It was Yolanda. Oh, I like that. Look, there's a mark for each answer. Who got it right? Yeah, I like that one. Split the panel. What category was Typhoon Haiyan? Correct. It was category 5. Well done. Okay, here we go. Number 14. What was 5-meter wall of water that's destroyed Tacloban? Was it a flash flood, a storm surge, a tidal wave, or tsunami? Well done, guys. It was a storm surge. All right, 15. What temperature must the ocean be for tropical storms? This could be tricky, actually. Correct answer is 27 or higher. 30 was what it was at the actual storm, but 27 is the correct answer. Okay, 16. Why did many Filipinos stay in coastal evacuation centers? Why did many stay in coastal evacuation centers? Okay, vote now. Here we go. They didn't understand the storm surge. Yeah, they didn't understand the warnings of the storm surge. Okay, number 17. What long-term natural defense was planted in the Philippines? And there it is, look, all those trees. Look at that. They act as a barrier. I love these. I love these ecosystems. What did they plant? Okay, yeah, mangroves. Correct answer. Well done. Oh, it's getting close. 3 to go. Which country shares the island with Haiti? They also gave them aid immediately after the earthquake. Which country shares the island with Haiti? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Dominican Republic. Well done. Right. Oh, it's going to the wire. 2 to go. Oh, yes. Double points. What does pancake collapse refer to in the Haiti case study? Pancaking. Okay, yes. Oh, it's so close. Down to the last question, guys. 20 out of 20. Here we go. Which of these is the best example of mitigation, reducing the impacts? Best way to reduce the impacts of a hazard next time round. Okay, the correct answer was building a 10-meter seawall. Let's have a little look, guys. Who are our winners today? You're all winners to me. But anyway, Fred. Well done, Fred, in 3rd. Tammy in 2nd. And that means our winner today is Eleanor. Well done, Eleanor. Very proud of all 3 of you. Well done for being on the podium. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's live stream. We are back next week doing Living World Ecosystem. So come and check that out. 6 p.m. on Monday. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next week. All the best, guys. And yeah, bye-bye for now. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening.